Hello and welcome back to Wildsunne Art Studio. My name is Robinsunne. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video if it seems like fun to you. Excuse me. Today we are getting ready for New Year's Eve, and I've been waiting and waiting to make this video to be just perfect timing. And this is my third try on this video. So we will take a deep breath and breathe out any obstacles and be on our way. So these are old ribbon spools. Here's a little one, and it had 1/4 inch, that's bigger than, anyway, it had ribbon in there. And I've now used up all my spools. Well, here's one that's almost done. So we need to cover up these holes. But first we have to put some noise making things inside. Excuse me while I throw things on the floor. And I tried rice and I tried red kidney beans, and let me see, one of these has here, this one has rice in it. See how soft to sound that is? And most of the rest of these have the kidney beans in them because it's a bigger sound and seems more appropriate if you want a noisemaker that you want it to make a lot of noise, not a little noise. But actually, I was thinking that, like back in the day when my babies were little, this could have been a blessing shaker. This isn't decorated yet, but it could have been a blessing shaker for them, like when they slept and I didn't want to wake them. And this could be just a Happy New Year. So as you can see, I've decorated these shakers with long ribbon tails so that can flip back and forth. I had these wonderful butterfly sequins that I glued on with, this is that silicone glue. Sometimes it's called 3-in-1 or Fabri-Tac or Fabrifix. It's all made by Beacon, and I'm assuming they're all the same thing. I think they sell in different countries under different names or something like that. Anyway, it's a silicone glue, and it tends to hold this plastic stuff, I think, a little bit better than regular, well, white glue. This is actually Elmer's glue in here. So anyway, I used the silicone glue on the holding the plastics. So I put some bling in there and some designs that other people made. And I hope you can see in the light, little sticky-backed stars. And this is a picture from Singapore, maybe. It came out of a National Geographic Expeditions catalog, and it sort of looked like fireworks on New Year's Eve. So I chose that. All right, so that's one. This one has paper rolled roses. And what you do is you get a circle of paper, and it's really fine if it's not actually it's better if it's not a perfect circle. And you cut a spiral, and if you're right or left-handed and you go right or left, it doesn't make any difference. If you cut a very skinny spiral or a very wide spiral, it affects how tall. This spiral was very, very thin, and you can tell it's a very shallow rose, which makes this a good rose for journals or something. And this rose had like a, I think that's almost a 1/2 inch wide spiral out of a bigger circle. And it ended up making this taller rose. So you choose how tall you want them to be. These are probably all, I don't know, maybe a quarter of an inch. Yeah, like about this big. So anyway, you cut a spiral. You want the center to be probably not much bigger than your thumbnail. I mean, just the skin part, not if you have long, fancy fingernails. So yeah, that's about pretty good. And then I like to blunt that out a little bit. I fold a little single zigzag or double zigzag to be the center. It's sort of funny. The center of the rose is going to be the outside of the spiral. It's backwards like that. And then you just start rolling it up. And you want this roll to be pretty tight because at the end of the roll we can always loosen it to get lots of the space and the sense of shadows in the roses. So we just keep rolling. And we roll until we get to the end and that little circle in the middle. And then you can use just white glue on this. It doesn't need anything special. I do recommend wet glue though. Glue sticks and double stick glue, it doesn't really have enough stick to it. The wet glue will work a little better. So we get that little center piece all covered in glue, and then you can just let go of the spiral a little bit, and then you press it between your fingers for about 20 seconds or so, and that will, the glue will have dried enough by then to hold that. So there is this, that's how you make these roses, and some clouds for a friend of mine. And this one has one big rose, so I cut this purple rose out of a bigger circle, and I added some silver and purple, and this is I decorated the center, the core of this ribbon spool with the palest lavender paper, and I'm now realizing that's so pale it looks like white. So I think I'm going to do some paper cutouts or something there, but I haven't done that yet. And the reason I have so many of these is that I get messing up the video and making more and more. So this one you can see does not have, I haven't decorated the inside of that. So all you do is measure the inside. This looks like it held 1/4 of an inch ribbon. So I might put white in there. And I have a paper punch that cuts out little diamonds. Actually, those look sort of too big. Yeah, that's too big. That won't work. Ooh, look. I have another one that has smaller diamonds. So I might put diamonds in there. Actually, I should leave that out and remind myself. And then I can put black and white ribbon. And you just put the ribbon around the inside. And again, I used this fabric silicone glue. It works really well with fabric. It doesn't, first of all, the grab is grabbier. And I guess I can put that down now. And second of all, it doesn't bleed through the fabric ribbon as much. So that's great. So I'm not going to use the rice because that is too quiet for me. Let's go backwards a little bit. I have found that 13 is a pretty good number for most of these, but you know what? This is really slender, and I've found that, well, it depends how big the core is, but wider core, when you have more space on the inside, or it's taller. See how that one has more space? It's got a bigger core. It has more space and it makes more noise. So instead of 13, because this one is so skinny, I think I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is probably enough. That's a pretty good sound. And then what I do to get this all closed up is I'm using a punch, but really it could just be a little piece of scrap paper. So put that on there, and then I cut a piece of tape to put over the top. And then those lovely beans will not fall out. And actually, why don't we take this off? That last little bit of blue ribbon. And then you just trace, make a red one. You just trace the top of the spool. And of course, we would need to trace it twice. Just so we don't forget which side has, when I cut, sometimes I don't quite cut off all the pencil marks. So if I make a mark, I want this side to be the glue side so that I put it down and we won't see if I make any marks. So you just cut them out and glue them on, and because I hope that's flashing for you. This stuff is it's just cardboard, but it's a little shiny, and this stuff is a better grab. So what I'm going to do is let my glue fall to the point. And put many circles, a lot of layers, a lot of coverage, but not a very thick amount, because this can seep through the cardstock and make a little dark stained place. Okay. And there's the mark. So I want that to go down. And I haven't worked this out properly. Sometimes you notice a little bit of white showing there. And I tried taking a chisel point Sharpie, which just has a really broad nib. See, sometimes it works, and sometimes there's just a little bit of color left. I'm finding I'm working so hard on this. I don't think that's my best idea. So I think what I'm going to do is get out a tiny little paintbrush and various colors of acrylic paint and actually paint the edges. I think that might work the best. But I'm not going to do that because it would take forever. So that's how you get the top covered. And then you start decorating. And so I gave you this idea of putting sequins and little bling things on. And I gave you this idea of making little roses for the top with some more sticky back jewels. And you can also use magazine papers. This also came from the National Geographic Expedition catalog. It would be so much fun to go on a National Geographic expedition, but yeah, that's a little expensive for me at this point. And plus, we're in the middle of a pandemic. What are you going to do? Okay. So here, this is just a zigzag fold. And the way I did this, there are a lot of ways to get a long fan fold piece. This is two, I used, just trying to remember here, I used black cardstock, and this measurement right here is a little over 3 inches. It's like 3 1/4. So I knew there was going to be a hole in the center. So I made these strips of paper 11-inch long by 1.5 inches, and I did 2 of them. So half the fan is the top and half the fan is the bottom. And I just took a little bit of paper and glued it together on the, so I glued that together. And the best way I have found to get lovely even folds, yes, you can do it lots of ways. Yes, you can use paper instead of cardstock. Yes, you can use your scoreboard. But the way I like the best is, let's use this paper, and it's going to be a little, where's my big pair of scissors? I don't know. Let's pretend that this is black. It's 1.5 inches wide and it's 11 inches long. Anyway, what I do is fold it in half, and because it's cardstock, I use my bone folder a lot with this. You can also use if you've got hard plastic handled scissors, you can use one of these edges as a bone folder. But anyway, I fold it in half, then I fold the front to the front, and yes, this is a little laborious, and it takes a while, but it makes these folds be the most even and accurate. And then I take each, so we've got 3 folds making 4 parts. I fold each of these in half. So in half there. And I fold up to the fold in half there. And in half there. And in half there. Then I would probably score this, but for time's sake. Then I go back to the beginning and I fold this in half, and I go all the way down the line. And I fold this in half, giving it good pinches, and bone foldering along the way too. And then you get nice even folds like this. So these are a little higher because the measurement was different, but yeah, I do it bit by bit like that, and I get a nice even fan fold. So that's an idea. You could also put like just half a fan fold, and all I did to glue it was make circles of white glue, and I just sat here breathing deeply, and it took a while. It took like 5 or even 10 minutes of holding it. I think actually I had a television show running too. So I just sat and held it. You have to hold it in and down to make sure that the white glue will hold it. And it's very cute. So I still have to put some paper here. And again, that'll be 3/4 of an inch. So you just go through and you measure everything. I also wanted to show you this. The way I made this little fluffy is I took my scissors. This is an inch. Yep, that's an inch of paper and it's 11 inches long. And I cut almost all the way to the bottom. And these little cuts are so close together and they're so slender. I would recommend only cutting one at a time. So if you have some really good music on, or a television show you can mostly listen to because you have to keep your eye on this. So I just fringed that all down the row, and I think I took a toothpick, which is now buried under the paper. But imagine this was as thin as a toothpick to just get it started. And then I glued it all the way down and kept rolling. And then you kind of feather these little fringes out and you make a wonderful little pom pom flower. And this was made by cutting the way you make a 5-pointed anything, star or flower, or you make a 5-pointed snowflake maybe, is you fold it a little piece of paper that's the right, height and width for the whatever you're doing. And you fold your piece of paper in half. The next fold is, how did I do this? I guess I folded this way. You know what? That's too complicated. Let me show you how. So you fold your piece of paper in half and you mark the center with just a little pinch, so you've got a little mark there. And you fold this, and this is a guessing game for me, so I don't make very sharp creases until I've figured this out. So you fold it about 2/5 of the way over, or 4/5 of the way over. And now this part is supposed to equal this part, so fold that to the back, and that's a little bigger. So I just undo it. This should work. So I'm making the creases a little stronger. And take your bone folder, this is important, or the edge of your scissors or something. By the way, this is just office paper. And then, I hope I can make enough of a mark. See how the top of that paper just goes to there? So I made a little point at the top, and then I rounded the flower and went down quite close to the point, the center point. Bells. So you can add extra noisemakers. Now, this flower is obviously too big for the top of that. Well, actually, I mean, you could make it so that it is too big. But this one I cut to size because I didn't want it. I wanted me to be able to grab this without totally destroying the flowers. And then I took my pencil and I rolled the paper to give the petals a little dimension. And then I added some bling in the middle. And then I will cut a strip of paper to go around there, and I will add some streamers on it. So we're running out of time for my camera. I wish all of you a very happy New Year with lots of color and lots of art materials to play with and lots of friendship near and far. Have a great New Year's Eve, and I will see you next year. Bye.